Everyone, we'll bring this meeting of the Regulatory Process Panel to a beginning, and I'll start with karakia. Tuia ke ranga, tuia ke raro, tuia ke roto, tuia ke whaio, tuhanga te hao, hamiu hui e taheke. And welcome to the first panel of the term, and ironically the last meeting of 2025, so there might be something in the water with saying first meeting and the last of the year. But we will get underway. The meeting is being live streamed, and we have Emily taking the minutes in April on technology. We are all here as a panel, so there are no apologies, and I can confirm the order of business as set out in the agenda. Does anyone have any conflicts to declare or any interests? No. All right. Well, we'll welcome Bernadette and Mandy to talk about road naming Golden Elm Rise. Good morning, team. We're in your hands and happy to be guided how you would like to share the report.
Yeah, good morning. Hopefully you received an email from me explaining that the developer can't be here and would look and added some further explanation about his preferred name. Staff still recommend what is in the report because the names are better aligned with the Canadian theme. And we noticed an error in the report in that it repeated a description of wildland twice. Whoops. Yeah, so thanks for reading. So Bernadette is just finding out the description for the Valdor place, but in the meantime, happy to answer any questions.
Just one from me regarding the request, I guess, from the developer for the name Edcova Place. Is there any reason it says it has no recognised connection with Canada? I wasn't quite sure of the development from the get-go. Is that a Canadian sort of theme that they're running through the whole development, or what was the background with that?
It was to tie in with some existing names already in the area, Quebec, Montreal. So yeah, they are planning to run through the Canadian theme throughout the whole development, and he's indicated if this name isn't approved this time, he may bring it up again for future roads.
And, I guess there's obviously, it's the start of the development, so there is I guess consideration that in the future that the name Edcova could be considered at a further report or once developments happens. Is staff comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean that's correct. We'll probably have the same view that most general members of the public wouldn't recognise any connection with that name with the Canadian theme.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'm quite happy to move this as from the chair that we receive the report, but also approve the name Valdora Place and Calabal Lane for Road 1 and and 2. Calabro, sorry.
Yeah.
For Road 1 and 2, as in the report. Is someone wanting to second that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Trudy. Does anyone have any debate or anything on the matter? No, I'm quite happy to move, and we thank the staff for that. Oh, sorry. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you, staff, very much. And moving on, we'll now welcome Gina and it says Alec, but I'm sure it's Lyndon to talk about some traffic and parking bylaw updates. So welcome, team, and again, guided by how you would like to go through the report as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'll hand over to Gina to step you through the reports.
Morena, Chairperson and Councillors. Regarding to Report 25529 Traffic and Parking Bylaw Update, the items detailed in this report are from new development being vested to Council and finalising a minor safety improvement. The report is taken as read and we welcome questions after the verbal update for Recommendation 2, the Ridgeway amending no stopping.
So through the chair, with regard to the Ridgeway, we presented the no stopping lines for the Ridgeway at the last hearing panel meeting. There was a staff recommendation that we didn't put markings in, but we looked at the whole area more holistically. The hearing panel, there were several very convincing public comments from people in the area. And based on that feedback, the decision of the hearing panel was that the lines were to go in. So we broke the meeting at that stage and had some discussion around the options. My error in that discussion was I didn't make the point that one of the residents along there was opposed to markings going in, wanted to retain the parking. And we've had correspondence since then after, which is summarised in the report. So we've actually marked the markings down, but we've stopped them short of to allow for parking. And as a result of that, we've now had feedback from all the parties concerned that they're happy with the current marking as it is. The feedback from those who had visibility issues was that their situation is dramatically improved by the marking that has gone down, and they're comfortable with the parking space that's been provided. So all parties that have been involved to date are comfortable with the outcome we currently got. So this process is to confirm that the markings that are down and to seek the approval for those. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? We'll come to Councillor Brent for some questions.
Thank you. Quick question. Ocean Drive, new development. They don't have to provide on-site parking with houses because of the regulation back in August 2020. With all those yellow lines around there, does that allow for them to do like inlet parking where service vehicles or others may be able to access if there is no parking provided by the property that gets built, and services would need to get into the property depending on one who buys the property, and they may need home help or something like that, or disability services, or if the utility is out and they need to have a service vehicle come and there's nowhere to park, does that allow for them to have access to those properties?
Through the chair, yeah, the challenge we've got in particularly some of these narrow private roads off cul-de-sacs is that they are quite narrow, and so we end up trying to balance the access into the properties, vehicles being able to turn in and out, with creating some parking through that. So there is gaps left in that. But it is a very fine balance in those areas between if we didn't have yellow lines and we had vehicles parking, people will be asking to say, well, we can't get in and out of our driveway. So it's done in accordance with our design manual, but it is a fine balance in those situations.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm comfortable. I have no questions, and I don't believe Councillor Anderson does as well. Just a comment from me. Appreciate the work that the staff undertook with working with the residents on the Ridgeway to find a solution. I'm sure there's hundreds of people watching this online right now, but obviously, as I was on that panel last term, and we thank the staff for finding a solution there with the residents offline as well.
Through the chair, thank you for that. And actually, the residents have been very good to deal with in this situation, so that makes it easy for us.
Thank you. Is someone willing to move this recommendation?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. I'm happy to second it. Is there any debate? All right, Matty would like to talk.
Yeah, thanks. I'd just like to echo Councillor Rollo. It seemed like a little bit messy. It's one car park, but you've done a great job. Everyone's happy, and it seems like it'd be nice if we could do these co-constructions. And so well done, guys.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll move the recommendation. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you. And we'll come to the team again to talk about 4.3 traffic and parking bylaw bus stops with a PowerPoint. Quite happy to be guided by you yet again.
Great. Morena, Chairperson and Councillors. Proposed new changes to existing bus stops detailed in this report provide an improved service based on recommendations from the Public Transport Review and to accommodate the Nelson bus hub and maintain a similar level of service for passengers. The report is taken as read. We welcome questions in order of the report and supplementary slides. So we made some slides just to walk you through one by one, makes it a little bit easier for all of us. So the first one is an outbound stop for Route 3 on Arawhai Drive at Parramatta Street. You can see the inclusion of a bus stop and no stopping. This is possibly the most feedback we've ever had on anything ever, and everyone was in support of its installation. Any questions?
Brand.
Thank you. I see that it comes out into the road. Is it going to have a setback so the bus goes in, or is it just taking up that road space? Because when cars and cyclists do go down there, it's quite narrow and quite intimidating for cyclists.
Through the chair, it will be in the lane. There will be no build in or build out to accommodate it out of the lane, just like the other bus stops in this area. And it's expected that cyclists and vehicles would give way to each other and the bus to let it in and out safely.
Okay. I just want to note it on record then that I feel it sticking out in the road like that may create some comments and feedback from the community regarding safety around cyclists when they use that area.
Through the chair, this is just an overview of the city centre and where the new proposed bus stops will be, and how they interconnect with each other and the moving of the bus terminus. So as you can see, the bus terminus is moving from Bridge Street to Halifax, and by removing the bus stop in the middle of the city centre there, it does create quite a distance between the existing stops. So you can see the new proposed stops for Halifax and Vanguard Street. We do acknowledge that the ones on Halifax Street do seem very close to the terminus, but that stretch of Halifax Street captures all of the bus routes that travel that way. And you can see in those red boxes on that left-hand picture there, we did look at other locations, but we'd have to put in 4 bus stops and take out more parking. So it made more sense to capture those where all of the bus routes went through.
Sorry, what are we looking at? The blue
So
and the red?
The blue are the proposed bus stops that are in the next slides, and the red are the options that we did look at for that Halifax Street stop. We'll move through.
And you can see the existing bus stops shown as the lighter blue bus symbols there. So you can see we're pretty well covered around that southern sort of area across that eastern side with the stops there. But we have created a bit of a gap with the movement of the bus interchange from that central area. But providing those stops enables access to the north and the west, which were previously provided for by the interchange itself.
Okay, thank you. Just one quick question to me, and then we'll come to Councillor Brand and I'm looking at the top two, the 2 stops closest to the bus that we've got there. These ones here. No, that picture there actually answers my question. I was just going to ask regarding to the crossing there and where that was located to the bus stop. So thank you for that. I don't have a question. We'll come to Councillor Brand.
Thank you. Future thinking question. The bus stop outside Halifax Street, closest to Parapara Road, opposite Bowwaters by the supermarket. Whakatū, if they were to develop that site and it was no longer a supermarket, would the bus stop, if it remained there, come up for discussion or review on whether it's still a best location for the last bus stop in the future?
Through the chair, we've always got that opportunity to review and look at those stops as the environment changes around those stops. So we can do that as a matter of course.
Okay.
Thank you. Just a question from me regarding this picture again. Obviously, work's just finished on the start of Bridge to Better. Is it likely in the new year, with the work getting underway, that these bus stops will be impacted with future works that are likely to occur on there? Or are we comfortable that they'll be operational as soon as possible?
Yes, so we're looking at trying to get these in place as soon as we can. We are entering a slightly difficult part of the year. Our contractors won't be out and about next week, so we're looking at trying to get these signs up this week. The location of these sites compared to the potential of having those stops around the corner mean that they're probably less likely to be impacted by the future work than if they were around on Rutherford Street. Yeah.
And I guess with the buses as of tomorrow being at the bus hub and travelling that road, even if the sign's not there, I think on Halifax Street now there might be a temporary bus stop sign. I might have seen the other day, don't quote me on that, but I think I saw one. If someone's standing there and kind of flags down the bus, are the drivers kind of going to be aware as of this afternoon, pending this is approved, that this is going to be a bus stop and people may be waiting there already?
We can try and certainly have that conversation with the bus company, but our preference is to get those signs up as soon as possible to formalise that situation.
Very much. And no, I'm comfortable with that. Were there any more slides? Or yep.
So these ones are for Halifax, Vanguard Street. You can see the Harley Street roundabout there. So they're just to the north of the roundabout. Sorry, the map isn't on its accurate orientation to make it easier to look at. So there's, outside Briscoe's there. There is some retention of parking on that western side, and then on the eastern side there is the removal of 2 car parks.
So that's Briscoe's just there. Yes. And these, just a broader question regarding all of these bus stops. I assume these are simply just a sign in the ground. There's no other assets that will be going in there.
So signs and markings are our priority. We do have some additional shelters that are available. So there's potential to look at shelters and seats once things are up and operational. We need to understand the loadings and the space before we have those conversations.
Cool. No, thank you for that.
Through the chair, the final one is Selwyn Place. It is currently a part-time bus stop. It's available to buses between 7 and 9 a.m. and 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. Monday to Sunday. This proposal would make it a permanent bus stop, and the Route 1 inbound service would stop there. It kind of fills the gap of this corner of the inner city and shortens the distance from the middle of town to either Collingwood Street or to the corner of Selwyn and Rutherford.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Councillor Brand looks like she may have a question.
So I'm just trying to orientate myself with the things in the picture. So with the future works that are planned in that area around foot traffic crossings and everything else, does that bus stop still align to that future thinking? Or is that something that would get reviewed again in the timing of all of that?
Yeah, so it's adjacent to Morrison Square, and it's close to the mall area at the top end. So it's well positioned in that sense. And the fact that it was there and operating, it made sense to continue it. The thing we may need to look at in this area is whether or not there's a need for a stop on the other side of the road to pair with this one. But this was seen as a good first step. And with all these things, we're able to review them in the future.
Just one final question. I see there's the removal of the car parks, which I assume are just the ones with where the bus stop is and the accessibility park will remain. That's there.
Through the chair, correct. It's the mobility park will stay. It's just where the bus stop is now, when it's not operating as a bus stop, is available for parking. So that won't be available when it becomes a permanent bus stop.
Very good. Thank you. Are there any further questions? Councillor Anderson.
Just wondering, what's the process? How fast do you get these changes into Google Maps? I use my Google Maps to figure out when the bus is coming.
I was looking at Google Maps and the stops are in place already. So I'm not sure how that happens. It's a bit of magic that I wasn't aware of. But yeah, so that's off the bus data. So those stops, certainly the ones on Halifax, are in there already.
That's awesome. So in place close to my heart, I do a lot of work in Magenta and Neko Hauora Hub, and majority of those guys do not drive, so it's good.
No, thank you for this. I guess the only other question that I have, and this particular area is probably deemed as one of our high event spots, to Christmas parade and events, New Year's Eve and that. Is that a kind of bus stop we want to encourage people to use the buses, that when Selwyn Place is closed, we can look at putting a temporary site and potentially on Rutherford Street if the buses detoured off there? Is that something that we can always kind of consider to offset this when the roads are closed?
Yeah, so through the chair, there are existing bus stops on Rutherford that we can use in those situations. Yes.
Councillor Brand.
Yeah, I'll just add to what he was saying. So when we had the spectacle and that whole road there was all blocked off and everything, and cars were like, where do I go, and everything else, would that be impacted or not with events like that? I'm just thinking because we just had it. So the spectacle when they're all running down and you've got it all blocked off for like 2 days from like 4 a.m. till whenever it was.
Through the chair, the bus services were continued to operate, but were
In that
diverted.
space.
They didn't run through this area. There were diversions in place, and I think those diversions will be slightly more understandable with the location of the new terminus.
Okay, thank you. You're good? Yep. Thank you, team. I guess that's the end of the slides. All right, thank you very much. Were there any further questions regarding to these proposed bus stops? Councillor Brandt.
The obvious question that I can already hear people asking me, removal of car parks, are they being offset anywhere else?
Through the chair, we've looked at minimising the number of car parks that are offset. The current exercise underway for parking replacement is the construction of the car park at Parapara. I understand there's 78 spaces going in there, so that'll do part to reassess this.
Yeah, my understanding the Parapara Road one was to offset those lost in Bridge Street and other car parks within the area. These ones hadn't come up in that offset conversation, so there will become some public feedback, I'm sure, and I just would like to ensure that we've got answers to their questions around offsetting of car parks, considering the total number that they feel has already been lost with the bus hub moving to Miller's Acre, with the Bridge Street happening and with other works happening all in the city?
Yes, I understand we're still in the positive from the car parking that's been generated against what's been lost. And in the context of the feedback we've got about these stops, there wasn't a lot of feedback about parking. The main feedback was around the location of the stops relative to intersections and those sorts of things. So, yeah, we didn't have a lot of specifics about the parking issues when we consulted on these individual parks.
Thank you. Councillor Anderson.
So just in regards to, you mentioned that there are some shelters sitting around there. What's the process there? Is that a operational piece of work, and how do you figure out where and what goes? And part of me thinks that we're probably not qualified this side of the table to make some of those decisions. But how are those informed?
So through the chair, the placement of the shelter, there's not a regulatory impact of that. So it's not something that we would seek regulatory panel sign off of. We are going through a bus review process. We're reporting back to the Joint Regional Transport Committee. So there is a degree of oversight of the various improvements and changes are being made.
All right. Thank you very much. There is no further questions. I'm quite happy to move this from the chair. Is someone willing to second it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Is there any debate on the matter? No. I'll then take the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you, team, and we welcome you back to the table to now talk about some temporary road closures and are guided yet again by how you would like to take this.
Morena, Chairperson and Councillors. The proposed temporary road closures detailed in this report support two well-supported annual events and a new one-off event for the region. The report is taken as read and welcome questions.
Good. I have a couple, but I'll just come to my colleagues first to see if they would like to kick us off. Okay, my first one was regarding the and I don't want to be a micromanager, but I was just regarding the vintage car event, which sounds very exciting, where the road was going to be closed. Did I see from 4 p.m. on the Wednesday there, the 18th, and I'm just aware that's going to be in the midst of the Bridge to Better kind of work, which is then essentially my take is going to be most of those cars are probably going to go to Montgomery Square, and are we giving enough time for the event and also our parking officers to get cars out of that before the event takes place?
Through the chair, the Vintage Club applied for a 4 o'clock closure for a 6 o'clock start, and we've tried to balance the need to somewhat empty the car park and also provide car parking in those two major car parks as best we can, and by offering a 5:15 closure to the public allows people to still shop after 5 o'clock and still exit in time for these car parks to fill up with the cars to be on display. You also note that it's a car park and a half. We didn't want to close both car parks entirely because obviously people coming into town to see the cars still need somewhere to park as well. So the balance of that was also by providing a car park and a half.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And I guess just a real cheeky question is if you park your car there for a day, you pay per hour to park it there. Is there an event? Are we subsidising this event? Is this helped by council, or do they pay towards the car parking? How does that work?
Through the chair, because the car park will still be open to the public until 5 o'clock. That's when the pay by plate finishes for the day. So after 5 o'clock, people wouldn't be required to pay for parking anyway.
No, cool. Thank you. Are there any questions from my colleagues? Councillor Anderson.
So this is a strange question. So in and around, so I think it's great. And I'd imagine we're going to be doing this more often. The whole process of closing roads and traffic management and doing this over and over again, I'm just wondering whether it could be more streamlined and cheaper if, yeah, I was wondering about that as a piece of work for council as far as looking at how we manage these and whether it can be more streamlined and cheaper maybe. I was wondering about bollards or something a little bit more permanent if closing down streets for events is going to be not really the exception to the norm, but possibly something that we see more often in the city centre.
Through the chair, there's a couple of things occurring in that area at the moment. There's quite a change around temporary traffic management, and that's a national change from very much applying a manual of temporary traffic management into a risk-based approach. So council's in that transition at the moment, and that's really about the traffic management being based on an assessment of the risks that are occurring, just like you do for any of your other activities. So we may see some changes in process through that, and we may see some streamlining of costs. So that's the intent of the change of that practice, but we need to see what's going to happen in that as that rolls out. We've had a similar conversation internally when we look at changes like that's happening in Bridge Street, whether or not that's an appropriate time to look at things like bollards. The feedback we've had to date is that those bollards that rise up and drop down out of the road surface are quite expensive, are quite finicky and difficult to maintain. So we are looking at some of those things as we make changes to infrastructure. But it's really about understanding the nature of the events, where they would occur regularly, and whether these devices actually put in place would sort of self-fund and pay for themselves over time. But it's certainly something that we're aware of and something we'll consider in the context of future works.
Okay, I guess just a sup on that as well. I look at the Weet-Bix Triathlon and the Italian Fest, which tend to be yearly events. Are we able to, and it's maybe a question for the elected rather than the officers, to look at streamlining it? They obviously every year go up for consultation with the residents, which is a good thing, but to save it coming to hearing panels kind of every year that we know these events are going to take place, so we can kind of just say, as long as, go for it within reason. Like, is that something that we should be considering, or?
I think the challenge we've got is that these decisions are made under that regulatory framework, and therefore council has a degree of ability to delegate, but it's chosen to delegate those things to this committee. So that would be a governance conversation about the appropriate level of delegation.
Councillor Brandt?
It's great that we've got annual events happening. Yeah, and also just the conversation, them coming back every year, it gives the residents in the area the opportunity to feed back in. So if things weren't managed happy or they wanted some changes, there's opportunity or a space for them to do that, and that council's aware of it and it's tracked. But with the Verico car thing, because it's new, always excited about new things happening, but with it being the car parks, I hear, and my first question was where Councillor Arolo went around the timing of getting everybody out to block it off, but also later in the evening on our communication, social media sites and other freedom camping sites and things like that, we have those areas identified. That's where they can go, and it's from a particular time, and there's a time restraint. So will we be sending out any messaging or comms to those sites to indicate to those people who may be thinking, oh, yeah, that's where we can go for the night and then we can carry on our journey. But it's blocked because we're doing this, because generally they settle in, before the 10:30 when this is finished. So what are we doing to communicate and notify those sites around this temporary closure?
Through the chair, you're correct. We'll advertise it on the camping site. We've been talking to other officers and parks about it. We'll advertise it on the Freedom Camping platform. We'll probably do it on the social media as well. And it was kind of a night in the Freedom Camping or the Responsible Camping bylaw is determined from 10 p.m. till 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. And so it's not closing the car park for the whole night. It's just slightly delaying their access in the evening. So it's not like they can't be there for the night, because the night officially starts at 10 p.m.
No, I appreciate that, but I also am aware that a lot of them will go earlier, sort of like from 7 onwards, to ensure that they're in the areas that are delegated for the Freedom Camp before others can't. And also,
There's also 2 other locations too. So there's still Whakatū car park and there's the QE2 reserve as well.
No, that's what it was. The reason why I'm asking about the communication stuff is because if it gets too difficult for them, they'll just camp wherever. And then we'll have to do a level of enforcement, which we had that full discussion with in council meetings about the reality of what that means and the work involved, and then the damage or the rubbish or the effect that would have on, say, nesting birds and stuff like that in different areas. So I'm just ensuring that we are aware that if we don't manage the communication well, or the awareness that, yep, you can't come in when you normally would, but you can come in after this point, that they're not just going randomly parking in different places that will cause future problems.
Yeah, so through the chair, we certainly understand that, and communication with those sites and using our social media will be employed in these things. So
Thank you for that. Just regarding the Weet-Bix Triathlon, I have a process question in a second, but I see there in the report we received no feedback from residents in the area. Have we looked back in the past? Obviously it's a yearly event, and have we had feedback in the past that the organisers or us as council have had to take on board for this proposal? Or have it just been, we'll do the letter drop and good work, we've had no feedback?
Through the chair, this process has changed hands in kind of the last 12 months. And so we have taken the feedback from this process alone. So we haven't looked back previously into other years' feedback, but this year, when the letter drop was delivered, there's been no feedback.
No, thank you. And I just wanted to check, just for the process question here. I see on the note that went to residents, triathlon is all in capitals. On our report there, it's just capital TRY, and I just want to make sure, do we need to check the spelling on that, or are we're comfortable we've got it correct? Super minor, but I thought we should be sure that we're putting the right event in the right place. On attachment 4.4.2, it's triathlons all capitals, but on the report it's just capital TRY. Super minor, but I thought I should check.
Oh, is that the head of the letter?
Yes.
All of the headings of those are all capitalised, and then if you look at the key of the map of the attachment, it's capitalised TRY.
No, thank you. I knew someone would pick that up. I didn't look closely, sorry. All right, no, well, thank you for that. Are there any further questions? Cool. All right. Is someone willing to move this? Thank you, Councillor Brand. I'm quite happy to second it. Is there any debate on this matter? No. All right. Well, I'm quite happy to take the vote. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And that brings the meeting to a close, and wish the staff all the very best for Christmas and the new year, and we'll see you back here in the new year, and thanks to our panel, and meeting closed. Thank you. Karakia, sorry. Tuia Kiranga. tui ki raro, tui ki roto, tui ki wharo, tui te hei tangata, ko ranga te pō, ko ranga te ao, humi e hui e tā heki e. Thank you.